Hey everyone, this is PrinceWatercress, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play. This time around, it is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego for the Sega Master System. And amazingly, not on the NES. Why is that? Well, this is the only version on an 8-bit console, as opposed to, say, an 8-bit micro like the Commodore 64 or something, because this version of the game was brought to us by Parker Brothers. Back in 1988, which is when this version of the game came out, Parker Brothers, along with Activision, had a third-party publishing agreement with Sega until 1989. Basically, it went from around the time that the Master System popped up on American shores up until 1989, when it was clear that the Master System was clearly floundering against the NES. And because of that, this is the only 8-bit console version of the game that I can think of, and one of the rare occasions where Master System does what Nintendo don't. Not surprisingly, the third-party publishing agreement came to an end in 1989 to allow Parker Brothers and Activision to gain more money because, well, Master System just wasn't getting it done in America, and NES was on top. And it took the Genesis, which was basically the Mega Drive over in America, to kind of reverse Sega's fortunes over in that part of the world. So, yeah. That's why this is not on NES, and NES owners had to wait until the early 90s for Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego to play a Carmen Sandiego game, which ironically wasn't even from Parker Brothers or Activision. That was a Konami game. Yeah, Konami gave us Where in Time for NES, which is about as weird as them giving us the NES version of King's Quest V, or at least publishing that. Another thing that should be mentioned is that I was supposed to play this in 2019 after Girls Garden and before Captain Skyhawk as far as the Try It Out Tuesday things were concerned, but I accidentally skipped ahead to Captain Skyhawk after playing Girls Garden, and, well, that actually managed to benefit me in the long run because I have more clues to work with from the Super Nintendo version replay, and I'm going to be able to get through cases a little better because of that. So, there's that. So you probably noticed as soon as we went to this typewriter, which acts more or less like the printer in some of the other versions of this game, you don't get to put in your name, and you don't get to put in a password. You just select the rank you want to start on, and that's it. I'm guessing the developers couldn't put a name and password system on this, unlike other versions of the games, and yeah, you're just left with this. So we could go all the way to Ace Detective and then just get to Carmen in the fastest amount of time, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the control, the D-pad and button 1 to select Rookie. Also, this typewriter is pretty slow. Maybe it's one of those electrical ones, kind of, that has the ability to print stuff. I had one of those. Got it from my sister, but hey, I had one. Anyway, Carmen's gang has pulled another caper, and it's up to you to solve the case. If you want, you can hold button 2 to speed the text up. Flash. National treasure stolen from Oslo. The treasure has been identified as a Viking helmet. Female suspect reported at the scene of the crime. And of course, whenever the text stops, you can press button 1 to advance it. Yeah, you have to press button 1. 2 just speeds it up, period. Your assignment? Track the thief from Oslo to her hideout and arrest her. Of course, just like every other Carmen Sandiego game I played. And you must apprehend her by Sunday, 1700 hours, which is the same as 5 p.m. We're just dealing with a 24-hour time system in this version. So we still have the same amount of time as always. And of course, Acme wishes us good luck, as always. And once you press button 1, you get this nice little Indiana Jones style thing of the red plane moving across seas of blue and the lands of green, as the game tells you that Oslo is the largest city in Norway with a population of about 450,000 as of 1988. And from here, we get to see the gameplay screen, which is a little interesting here. Definitely different from what we've seen in other games and other versions of the game, and probably much different from what you have probably seen in other versions of the game as well. Have you played multiple versions? Believe it or not, that little guy with the blue trench coat and the red shoes, that is you! You get to move him around in 4 directions, up, down, left, and right. By pressing 1 near a building, you can enter it and do things. That's the airport we just stopped in front of. We're just going to cancel a flight for right now. And if you hold button 2, you can run. Also, I recommend staying at the top at all times. Makes it easier to enter the buildings and also to better deal with some things that we'll mention later on. So, gameplay is that top half of the screen. And the bottom half is a fact about the city, as well as other things that you should know from when you talk to people and stuff, as well as the current time and day and the current city that you are in. By pressing button 1 in front of a building, you can enter it. We still have the 3 buildings in every city that we can get clues from. Make sure you remember what it is that these people tell you. You want to make sure you enter these places at least once. And only once. It makes things a lot easier. Be ready to remember stuff and just streamline the heck out of this. I heard she left in a vehicle flying a red flag. She was carrying a helmet, so she knows how to ride a motorcycle. And of course, there's a place with a red flag. Well, let's see what's over there that contains a red flag. Well, there's China. Bangkok doesn't have one. Budapest doesn't have one. So it's Peking, China. We need to remember that we need to go to Peking and that our suspect is female and that she drives a motorcycle. My sources tell me she checked out all of the books about the Shang Dynasty. Again, in case the red flag wasn't obvious, it's China. And the factory. That's a new place. All I know is that she left in a truck flying a red flag. She bragged about dangerous sports. Okay, so female, motorcycle, Peking, which is now Beijing, by the way. And this thing all the way on the left is a telephone booth. And this is how you fill out your warrant. So, hobby, no. Feature, no. Motorcycle, there it is. This is where you get to fill out the information about your suspect's gender, hobby, hair, distinguishing feature, and choice of automobile. Search for suspect is basically just you kind of locking in the warrant, and exit lets you, well, exit. Just like in the Super Nintendo version as well as every other version, I recommend that you don't search for a suspect until you have at least 3 of these 5 things filled out. And of course, to use it, you have to press button 1, I think. Let me check again. Yeah, you have to press button 1. Also, there is a little bit of music and sound in here. You can kind of hear your guy moving around. You get sound and music for when you do things. And from here, there's no other place to go but Peking, China. Welcome to Peking, the capital of the People's Republic of China, now known as Beijing. One of this nation's most famous landmarks is the Great Wall. Speaking of landmarks, sometimes you can see stuff in the background in places. Also, there is a bit of a day and night cycle on the top half of the screen as well. And I think that when you reach 2200 hours, you sleep until the following day. So now it's morning in Peking. And yeah, the game just told us about a vile henchman. I'm glad I caught that. If you see a vile henchman, 1, you're on the right track. 2, move all the way down so the knife doesn't hit you. Otherwise, You will be out for a couple hours. Yes, the vile henchmen in this version of the game become violent and pretty much want you horribly maimed. Why? I don't know. But at least it makes this version a little more interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to the palace. I heard she left in a vehicle flying a green and white flag. Interesting. Well, we have a place. Now, do we have stuff about... Okay, green and white flag and perfume. Change her money to francs. Great. Well, time to go ahead and hold 2 and just run to the airport. And it's going to be Moroni. Because Oslo and New Delhi are in Norway. Well, we came from Oslo. And New Delhi does not have a green and white flag. It's got to be Moroni. It's a French colony, or has a history of being a French colony. And its currency is francs. There are 3 Comoro islands, one with an active volcano. So anyway, once we look around enough, or stay around here enough, we will see another vile henchman. And once the game warns us, you want to move down immediately, and then go back up to the top. I heard she left in a train, flying a crescent and star flag. Looks like Turkey. She arrived on a motorcycle. Well, that's nice, but do you remember the color of her hair? My source is telling me she wanted the Turkish dictionary. That's all I know. And we're sleeping because it's past 10, or past 2200 hours, so yeah. The person you're looking for was here and she changed her money to lira. So it's gonna be Turkey. But please, please, give me another clue. And Turkey, yeah, that's gonna be Istanbul. Istanbul, once called Constantinople, thank you, they might be giants, is the largest city in Turkey. It has a population of more than 2.7 million. I love how the plane just shows up and then just backs away. Anyway, I heard she said she planned to study birds on the Laurentian uplands. She had an ugly tattoo. Finally! The person you're looking for was here, and she said she had always wanted to see the Gas Peninsula. She had brown hair. I'm gonna write this stuff down because these are clues that I have never seen on the Super NES version. Speaking of which, Super NES version did update some clues, but not a whole lot. Just for being in 1993 as this version is from 1988. Well, sometimes will show up again. Yeah, just be ready. Thankfully, the color of the lower part of the screen changes when they show up. Anyway. She wanted to explore the Yukon. Interesting. Anyway, she had brown hair, and she had a tattoo. We now have 4 things out of the 5, which is more than the 3 I wanted. Let's go ahead and search for subject, or suspect. Why did I say subject? Cannot English to save my life. You now have a warrant for Catherine Dribb. And we can now exit. Let's go ahead and run to the airport. And the only place that's even close to the Yukon is Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So let's head there. Canada ranks as the world's 2nd largest country in land size and is divided into 10 provinces and 2 large territories. I think there's more than 10 now, given that this was from 1988. I'm guessing that's different now. But anyway, the only thing I can tell you is to watch your step. Well, we're there. We have the warrant. And we just need to keep looking around until the suspect suddenly shows up. Which could be any time. Do I have to enter all the buildings? No. Yeah, thankfully the game tells you. Well, we saw this thief who looks a lot like us. And once you get away from the bullets, which work pretty much like the knives, except faster, once you see the thief, you definitely want to move out of the way so you don't get shot. And then you'll hear the whistles. And then the police will come and take away our suspect. Now, if you didn't have the right warrant, the suspect will go free. And if you took too long, the suspect will also go free. But we have the right warrant, and therefore we have captured our first suspect on the Master System version of Carmen Sandiego. Or at least where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. Interpol here. Thanks to your help, the Oslo police have apprehended Catherine Dribb. She had the loot, a Viking helmet, which will be returned to the grateful residents of Oslo. Good to know. We here at Interpol thank you for your good work on this case. Good job, rookie. You have earned a promotion. Your new rank is Sleuth. Yeah, as always, you only get one case as rookie before you get promoted. 3 cases until your next promotion. Good to know. And the game doesn't tell us. I believe the game does not tell us if we are ready for the next case. It just takes us straight to the next case as soon as we press button 1. So I'm going to go ahead and end it for now. Join me next time where we start hunting down suspects stealing random geographic landmarks as a rookie. Until then, this is PrinceWatercress. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching!